right. Okay, well, welcome everyone to another Supercharged Sunday with me, Emily McHugh, your Supercharged business coach and host, and my extra special guest today, Raphael Videco. Welcome, Raphael.
Hey, Emily, it's an honor to be here with you and being your first male guest, from what I heard.
Yes, you are the first gentleman on Supercharged Sunday. So this is an extra special day because we're now expanding our horizons. And of course, having wonderful women on is always good, but having wonderful men also makes it extra special. So I'm
Well, I feel extra special already.
as you should, as you should. Okay. Well, Rafael, it's really great today. Our topic is such a germane one for all of our entrepreneurs listening and all our small businesses. We're supercharging your systems. And that is the key to the foundation, building your business, having systems. So your topic is how to use social media for your business using proven systems and automation. And you have so much to share about that. Are you muted, Rafael? Just making sure you okay, good.
Yeah, no, I'm
You're
good.
good? All right. Just want to make sure we're good. Yeah, and the whole systems that you've created to build your businesses. So tell us a little bit of your background, how you even got into this whole thing of systems building.
Well, let's rewind. And thanks again for having me here. That's awesome. I actually watched some of your Supercharged Sundays. You actually ended up in my Facebook group as well, too. But
Yes.
let's rewind like way back because
Okay.
originally I came from Poland, and I came to Canada when I was a little man. Let's just say my parents were divorced, and my dad always taught me one thing, which is most of us here go to school, get a good career, so you don't have to work as hard as me. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going to school, ended up getting good into corporate career, started moving the corporate ladder, ended up working corporate for almost 16 years. And at that time, I started family. I had two boys, but one thing was always missing was the time spending with my family, time to be able to do certain things. And the only way I knew was, have a job, have a career, go to work, and have that steady paycheck that everyone talks about.
Mhm.
And 16 years into my career, my boys, I missed out a lot on my boys because I had to, make sure that I satisfy the higher management so I can move up higher. You know how it is.
Exactly.
On your days off and work extra long hours. But something happened that just totally, completely pushed me off. And I booked a vacation. I booked a vacation to go with my family. I took I think it was 2 weeks on the lake with a cabin a year in advance. A year in advance. And then what ended up happening was when I requested it in, I put it in. My wife was excited. I paid for it all. It's a year in advance. I have 16 years seniority. I'm gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
A month later, manager sits me down and she said, "Raphael, sorry, another manager with a little bit more seniority. I requested the same time off, and you're gonna have to move it." And I remember driving in traffic and thinking, being really upset and thinking, how am I going to tell my kids? How am I going to tell my wife? And I remember walking in and telling my wife, and I remember her reaction was, this is a nice way of putting it, but she said, "Are you freaking kidding me? They can't figure out a year in advance." And that was like a little line in the sand moment that made me decide that, you know what, enough is enough. Like no one is going to tell me when I can spend time with my family. So that's when I started looking. And we all know online, there's many opportunities, how to make money online, how to do this. But I was lucky enough that early stages of looking, I came across my mentor and people that actually I learned from. And that's when I got into online marketing, affiliate marketing strategies, learning as much as possible because I didn't know. I knew how to use Facebook like we all do, watch cat videos, going through this and just using social media. Social media was actually using us.
Ah.
But I learned, we all know that. So that's when my journey began. And, like I did everything right. I went to school, got a career, stuff like that. But I thought that was the only way. And when I learned a way, within a year and a half, I actually replaced my income, actually double my income, and I was able to leave my corporate work and do this full time. And that was almost 4 years ago. And over the last almost 6 years, I've been learning a lot of different skills, different systems, different things that I do, and realizing what is possible. And I know a lot of things that we will talk about today is, even we talked before this with Emily, was that we have systems in place, but we do something over and over, but there's a better way. There's always a way that you can automate it, systemize it. Otherwise, you're an entrepreneur that is working their butt off, and all you're doing is you're just doing the same thing, the spreadsheets, the following up and stuff like that. But there are always tools and ways of doing it better, so that way you can automate it and systemize it. And this is something that I was passionate about learning and implementing it into my business and other businesses as well.
Wow, this is really quite intriguing what it can do for freedom, because I know your whole thing is about freedom
Yeah.
and having people have the freedom of time, freedom of funds to be able to do the things they want to do. And so how did you, like, where should someone start? So walk us through the process of how to start using social media to our advantage to grow our business. Like, what are some of the steps? What's involved to do this?
Well, a lot of times it's not just about social media, because let's go back in the freedom part. A lot of times is that we want the freedom, we want that, the financial freedom, but every person is different. Every person's freedom could look different.
Mm,
Every person's financial freedom is different.
yeah.
You could be, Emily could be traveling the world and, going to different places, playing her violin and dancing everywhere because that's
Sounds
her
good to
freedom.
me.
You know what I mean? Another thing is, another person could be want a brand new car every single week. So another person could just want to stay home with the kids and spend time with their family. So it varies from person to person. And I think a lot of times when we first start out, with our entrepreneurship and business, we buy all those courses, and 80% of them we never go through. We all know that.
Yes.
But I think it's the focus and starting out what works. And a lot of times we are spending too much time on focusing on building, on learning and stuff, instead of balance things out. So when you have something, okay, and if you look back on your business or whatever, if you're starting out or if you're running a business, one of the biggest things that is looking at something that you actually do over and over and over. It's like the little things that you think it's not taking you a lot of times, but when you compound it and put it through together, it's going to take basically a lot of time over a period of time. So if you're doing some, let's say spreadsheets, maybe you put in and inserting or you're talking, there are software, there are platforms, there are tools that you can use to systemize this. Hiring a virtual assistant, that's one of the biggest things that even when I was starting out, where do I start? Like, how do I hire a VA? How do I do this? How do I train them? Like all of those little things. Why do I need a VA? That was the questions that I was asking myself. But when you have someone that you train, or you can have someone to actually hire a VA for you. So there are many ways of starting it out. But just to go back to this is, when you start out with your business, okay, you're going to do things by yourself at the beginning. But
Hmm.
look at what you're doing, small little things, over and over and over again, spreadsheets, all the different things. And those are the things you want to focus on and learn how to systemize it. And I think that's one of the biggest things. And I know, Emily, we were talking about before this too, is there are certain things that you do and I do that we know we over and over and over, but there are better ways of doing it.
Well, that's encouraging. It's very encouraging to know. So, the first thing I'm hearing is kind of doing like a self audit of taking inventory of what it is that
100%.
you're spending your time doing, and again, those repetitive actions or activities that um, take up, and then assess how much time is it really taking. So it's one thing to say, well, I'm doing this, but are you really coming to grips? Is it taking me all day? Or is it just taking a couple hours? What does it actually take to do what you do? And then what's the result at the end, like the metrics? So when you set up all the things that you're doing, Raphael, and I know you do a lot of different things. So right now, share with us like what main project are you I know you're working on many different ones, but you have certain core ones. So what is your core project right now? And how do you, like, there's so many things I want to ask you, but let me finish this sentence and I'll ask you the next thing that just came to mind. But how do you stay focused on what you're doing, and tell us more about what exactly you're building right now?
So right now I'm actually working with a software company that had problem was that they used to do spreadsheets, putting all this stuff information. And a lot of times we're running advertising, running leads and stuff like that, trying to get people in front of your offer. And there was a way to do it organically without running advertising. But the way it would work is you would have to keep track of it somehow. You put in spreadsheets, multiple spreadsheets. You had people doing it. If you friend someone, you go to Facebook group, you talk to someone, conversation. So
Mhm.
now there's an actually software that group of guys that I actually worked with created that automated that. So you can actually upload leads from anywhere, and then you can have it all in like I call it like a CRM on steroids, because everything is set up for you. You can have all that stuff inside and you can organize it. And I think a lot of times is the organization that people need, and doing that audit is one way. But when you're doing these things over and over again and you don't have a system in place. But one of the biggest things that whenever you're doing anything, any projects, anything, like I showed you that before too, is put it down on paper, write it down on paper, see it, map it out, do a brain dump. I call it brain dump. Is any idea that comes to your head, write it down, put it in one area. You just keep putting it throughout the day. You have ideas and then you forget about it. Because when you're doing this with your business, with any system, with anything that you're repetitive, if you don't have all that information in front of you,
Mhm.
it's like it's like running a restaurant without knowing what the recipes are, what you're paying. Like, how long is the restaurant going to stay open if you don't know how to run it, how the finances works, all of that stuff. So same thing with social media. You need to start learning little things about algorithm, about how it works, how you can actually go out and leverage Facebook group, for example, what you should do to get better engagement. How do you do all those little things? So that's when the social media comes in and the strategy with it.
Okay, so following up on that, let's go back to the whole mapping out and mind dumping and so forth. Do you have like, what is your system for doing that? Do you have like a special notebook where all the ideas go? Do you have post-its all over the place? How do you capture your ideas and remember where to find them?
Well, I use a thing called Miro, basically Miro. So
Miro?
Miro basically is an area that you can dump all stuff. But I use my notes as well inside my, I have a Mac and Apple, everything. It goes into one area, and I will have it all nicely organized by folders and put different information in there, even if it's social media posts, even if it's all that stuff in there, plus with my calendar. I have a system that works for me, that doesn't work for every single person. Just find something that you can put stuff in there. I know people that have a Google Drive organized with everything in it. It takes time at the beginning to organize it and find a little system. And at first it seems like, oh, why should I be doing this and stuff? But later on, when you organize, when you have everything, it saves you time down the road instead of you looking for, oh, where do I put this, where do I put that? And that's something that you can pick from what works for you. There are many ways of doing it. What I use is I use Google Drive. I use Miro for planning things out. So that way I have all that information. And I use my notes and calendar to have all that stuff set up and organized.
Ah, very nice. So, but and also going back to the first thing about putting it on paper, good old pen and paper. Make things make sense there before getting
And
them onto spreadsheets.
pen and paper. I literally just always have it so that way you can jot things out,
Right.
even just because you don't remember it. And then afterwards, put it down like from paper somewhere else that you can find it. Because a lot of times we're busy. We're busy. Oh, I got to do the next thing. Take a pause
Hmm.
for a few minutes and regroup. Take the things that you just learned. Take the things that you just spoke to maybe a person, or maybe you went through a training. Take those notes, regroup them, put them somewhere that you can find them easy.
That right there to me is a banner piece of advice. taking the moment, taking the pause to regroup, because that is what entrepreneurs do not do very often. We're always going to the
I got
next
another call.
thing.
I got another, yeah, it's
Yes, the next
always,
appointment, and we have things to cover, bases to cover, but that is as important as like make an appointment to regroup. Set the time to regroup, because that processing, that kind of just, yeah, absolutely. I resonate with that wholeheartedly. That resonates
you
with me
know,
wholeheartedly.
one thing that a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we're busy with doing all those extra things and we're setting it up. A lot of times, as an entrepreneur, what do you have to do? You want to make sales. And what we do instead of sales is we forget the basics. We forget to keep it simple. We overcomplicate it. I go by KISS, keep it stupid simple,
Simple.
or keep it simple stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because what happens in that pace, we overcomplicate things that could be simplified. When you overcomplicate, you discourage yourself from working towards what works, because it's like if you don't enjoy doing something, if that doesn't work, that's why systems and organization, all the stuff, it doesn't have to be the same for each person.
Right.
You pick what works for you, that you enjoy, and it could be literally a piece of paper, it could be the Excel spreadsheet. I use other things, but if you are doing entrepreneurship, your goal is to sell product. You want to sell product, you want to sell, even selling yourself, you're branding yourself. The way you do it is you put this offer in front of people and follow up. And you need to have a follow-up system that works. Because if you don't have a follow-up system, that's why this new software that I'm using and leveraging and teaching my students how and clients to use it, is because it helps them have it all organized. You don't forget people. It reminds you. It's like there's tons of different CRMs out there. And I've been looking for one for a long time, and I use many of them. But this particular one, not just a CRM, but it actually gives you leads. You don't have to run advertising, all of those little things that people miss. But put offer in front of people, have a follow-up system in place, so that way you don't forget about people. Because how many of you guys right now, if you guys thinking you forgot about someone that you talked to, or you didn't realize it, and even after the call, it's another system. Every little thing is systemizing it. Strategy is systemized. All the stuff that we talked about could be literally taking few minutes after your call to write down the notes and put it in there, instead of jumping to the next call while your memory is fresh, while you have all that information.
Yeah, those key touch points with the person. And Rafal, you have built Facebook groups, tremendous Facebook groups. Most recently, you built one to over 16,000, almost 17,000 people. You're building a new one now. So you clearly have mastered the techniques of what it takes to do that. So what would you say are some simple tips for trying to increase your engagement on Facebook? And so that's one. And the other thing is, do you let people into your group if they don't answer all your questions?
Yes or no. Most people, I want them to answer the questions, and the reason for it is, and like you went through the same process too, is I teach them. I'll give you guys a couple of tips you can use. But going back to the questions, yes, you have to reply 3 questions to be led into the group. Because I want to find out more if you're serious. I always go by what I think it was Eric Worre that said something about never give, always trade. So if you're doing something, I go by this model. And a lot of times as an entrepreneur, we always give, and people take. Oh, and I go by this because it helps me realize that, even though you have good heart, you want to help, trade. If you're doing a business and someone does not want to watch your presentation or take a 5 minutes or 20 minutes to watch something, it's the same thing. So that's why even like if you're systemizing or doing something with this, go through that model. That has extremely helped me to make sure that my time is used wisely and I don't just give, even though we still do so.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, so following on now to once the people do join your Facebook group or whatever social media channel you have, what are some simple techniques that people can do right away to increase that engagement or to nurture an engagement?
Well, one of the first thing you want to do is you want to follow up with them, welcome them, tag them, and give them instructions. So what I do is I have a video that is literally sent out to every single person. I welcome them in. I have a pinned post that they have to go through. And inside there, it teaches them how to turn on the notification to all posts. So if you actually go in and where it says join, there's an option that you can manage notifications, and the notifications, you can turn it out to all posts. The more people you have that doing, the more they see you in the Facebook group, because Facebook, imagine if you have 5,000 friends on Facebook and each person posts once a day, they're not going to show you 5,000 posts. They show you algorithm picks, and I wish we know more how the world works, but it only shows you certain things. You probably notice that if you comment on someone's post, if you like their stuff or you message them, all of a sudden you see their posts, you see their stories. That's the way Facebook is going to show you is who you're engaging with. Facebook group, I love Facebook groups because it's a place that you can build a community of people. You can show them things, you can have them engage, and you can do certain things, but it has to be consistent. It's a lot of work to build a Facebook group correctly. But once you have those systems in place, that's why inside this software I'm using, it literally has step-by-step with code and messages that someone can just be putting through the pipeline and messaging them, welcome them. Did they answer the 3 questions? When they answer the 3 questions, there's an email that they can put in. The email itself, it automatically, when they get approved, they go into the spreadsheet automatically. They automatically will go into email sequence. They get a welcome email automatically sent out. That is all pre-coded. There is a way to do it that way. Before, and Emily, you even mentioned that I take the email, I put it in, I manually send it out. Those little things add up. If you go and you have 100 to 200 people a day joining your Facebook group, how would you do that? You either need an army of people or you need software and tools to do that. So that's what it is. And now at the same time, in the Facebook group, they give you permission because there's a certain thing you have to ask. If they give you permission, you can now send them email. They get an email. That's an email marketing you can do. Inside a Facebook group, you can actually tag them in certain things. And then when they're in the group and they turn those notifications, they show up more. Then you welcome them, send them a welcome message. Same thing. Where do you put all this? A spreadsheet, a software, or manually do it? That's the biggest thing. So anything that you're doing in the business, if you don't have a system, it's hard, really hard for you to scale up. And for you to scale up is you need automation and systems to go to the next level.
So that is great advice on the side of building out your Facebook group or building out your community. What advice do you have for someone who is on the other side now, in the person doing the engaging, the member, to manage their time? Because what I find, especially if you're in multiple groups, you can only do so much engagement and you only have so much time. Next thing, you're spending all day in Facebook. So what is the advice that's realistic for people to manage their use of their time effectively on social media?
Learn how to say no. Learn how to say no, because we all have done it. I'm just going to go there for 5 minutes. 45 minutes later, you're scrolling, watching videos, or doing that's Facebook is designed to have you stay on there as long as possible. When you start watching those videos on the bottom, they're being randomized as you watch people. If you skip things, they're going to show you things what you want to see. Facebook job is for you to stay inside their platform, not go somewhere else. They don't like other links. That's why they block some of the links. They don't advertise other links because they want you to stay on the platform. That is their job. So for you to do it, do an audit of your Facebook. Do an audit how many pages you're following. Do an audit how many people or groups you're following. There's a way, there's a new option, actually, it's inside the settings and stuff like that, that I actually been asked that multiple times. I might do some training in my group, the simple proven method. And in there, basically, that when I did an audit even for myself, I had pages that I was following. I'm like, why do I need that? Because that would clutter your Facebook newsfeed. Same thing with your friends. Like right now, I'm in the process of cleaning up. I'm down to 4,500 members. Last time I did an audit, I had to remove 800 people off my list. And again, I didn't do that. It was a program that did it for me. There's a program, a tool that will actually tell you who engaged with you over the last year. And you can press one button and it will actually tell you and remove So there are tools out there, and this is something that I teach, is to leverage those tools to the ability of you to clean that up. But biggest thing with groups, make a rule, maybe 5 minutes with a timer that you go to each group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give yourself a timer, half an hour. That's all I'm doing. Because when you say right here, no, I'm going to go in here half an hour, and we're like zombies. We'll go in there and we'll scroll, and you literally can scroll down like 5 football fields before you finish. And it's true though, and then we've all done it. We have a phone, all of you guys have a phone. So I'll go in, grab the phone, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm just gonna check out this thing. Oh, this night, and then you just stuck, and you're like, that's their job. Their job is to lure you in. So you have to have a discipline, and you have to. I would put a timer on, or clean up the things that you don't want to do. And the way I always work, even with projects, if it's a maybe or a little bit, it's got to be a heck yes. Otherwise, it's a no.
We'll let that sink in for a moment. Let's let it sink in.
Oh, we get used by social media. You should be, if you have a business, you should be using social media, not the social media using you. TikToks and all the other stuff that you're doing it. If you're spending time on social media, and it's maybe if you're learning something and all kinds of different, there's so many things you can learn. Right. The other day I learned, how to, that the avocado, you can pop the thing out without using a knife, like all those little things, which is funny. But at the same time, is if you're running a business, leverage it for it, show up every single day. But at the same time, there's got to be a strategy behind it. What are you posting? There's got to be a strategy. Sometimes I go in and I see someone talking about one thing all the time. If I go to Emily's Facebook group, and if I don't find out within first 10 seconds roughly what Emily is about, move on. People will check your pages out. If you're doing a business, and if your Facebook, your business page, especially personal page, I'll Google people's pages. I Google Emily's page before I hopped on here. I want to find out what she's about, how is she, what is she doing? And then if you have posts that are in there, that's another thing that, as well too, delete the posts that are not getting engagement, not getting engagement, but the ones that are like not necessary in there. Clean up your page.
Well,
I did one of my,
go ahead, finish your sentence. Sorry.
No, one of my students, I went in and I went a few things down, and then they were in college and stuff. I'm like, dude, you gotta how you represent yourself is, people are gonna see this. You gotta clean that up, clean up your image. You are the brand. People have to trust you to be able to buy your product, to be able to work with you. And if you are on Facebook groups, Facebook group actually helps you do that, because you are over delivering, teaching someone, people are getting value. They love being part of the community, especially now with all this craziness. People are locked up for a long time, and but now here, when someone is part of a tribe and they feel acknowledged, like I'm doing giveaways, I'm doing prizes, I'm acknowledging members. I do a power hour Q&A every week, just to answer questions and teach people what's happening in the Facebook group. There's so thousands and thousands of Facebook groups. Why are they in there? What is it for them? When you're inviting them, why they should be in there? And at the same time, when they come in, have those systems that collects the email, answers the questions, codes them, and then be able to message them and keep in touch with them. They appreciate that.
Well, that's really great. And I'm going to run and go do everything you just said. Raphael, because you have done such an amazing job. You and Ted, with your simple proven method Facebook group, you do so much in there, and it really is like a master class on how to run a Facebook group and how to really leverage the engagement. So thank you for setting the standard so high and setting the bar so high. And I know you have some books that I always ask my guests to share, some books that they're reading or things that they would highly recommend for people to adjust their mindset. Because what I wanted to ask you, as you're going to share that with us, is for people to really transition from a consumer mindset of social media to a creator, like content creator or strategic content creator. And that's not always an easy shift, because we kind of bounce between both. Really,
it's a balance. It's a balance, and it's a consistency that you have to do.
Right.
You can see a lot of people, and I'll show you the couple books that has changed my life.
Yes.
But going back into, there's people out there that you see them as influencer, and they're the way they got there is consistency. The way they got there is showing up. I know, multiple people. There's one that used to, now she makes almost $1 million a month. December is a goal to hit $1 million a month. But 4 years ago, when she was doing live videos, she was doing makeup, showing people how to do makeup, and just no one was showing up. There's crickets. Be consistent, show up every single day. People will start to notice you. People will start to see you. In regards to the books, when I started out about almost 6 years ago, I never read books. I didn't read books. I thought it was, I didn't need it. Like, this wasn't my thing. And especially in mindset and development. And then when my mentor told me, I told him, like, I'm ready. I work really hard. My goal is to make $10,000 in a month. And he goes, yeah, go read a book. And I'm like, no, I don't need to read books. You tell me shortcuts. You show me what it needs to be. I don't need to read books. I just need to know this. And I'll go in and start working. He goes, no, go read a book. I'm like, you don't understand. He goes, no, you don't understand. Go read a freaking book. And he got me started with 2 books that has completely transformed my life. The name of this book does not justify actually the name of it, because at first I'm like, oh, what is this and stuff? But this book right here, okay, Happy Pocket Full of Money. I don't know if you guys can see it, but
A happy pocket full of money. Okay.
so this book, when I started reading it, I was like, happy pocket full of money, stuff like that. But David, the way he describes it, talks about quantum physics, talks about how universe works, talks about how your mind cannot distinguish the difference between reality and fictions, and what you think about, you attract. And it just opened up my mind in what is possible. Like, how does this work? So this is one book. This book right here, actually, one of my students, my client, and business partners, she's a teacher, and she started actually doing audiobooks. She just did Robert Kiyosaki, a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad for teenagers. She did the Audible, and she just did this book right here. So it is on Audible. I pick it up. Her name is Celine, and I was blown. She's like, Raphael, I did your favorite book, and I'm able to do it.
What's the author's name, Raphael, for that book?
David Cameron. Here, I'll show you guys right here. David Cameron
Giocondi.
Yes, amazing book. I actually get into this book. You should read it multiple times a year, because it does give you. Second book, and that I get every student, gratitude. Get into gratitude, the mindset, being grateful for certain things. This book right here, it's from The Secret, The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. And this one right here, it's 28 days of doing daily gratitude. It's incredible. First time I was reading it, day 2 is like, grab a magic rock. And I'm like, I wasn't into that mindset. But when you get into it, magical things happen. So definitely those 2 books. There's tons and tons of books. Get into a habit, reading either half an hour a day, even read 10 pages a day. It will transform everything for you. Same thing with learning things. I know we constantly have so many courses, so many coaches, and everything else gets thrown your way. This even right here is a system. Organizing your day is a system. Everything you do, you can organize it better. But we have family, we have kids, we have work, we have so many different things. Don't compare yourself to other people. Find something that works for you. Just be consistent with it. Because I know a lot of times I used to do the same thing. Being consistent is the key.
Amen to that. And Raphael, I think we're going to possibly need a part 2 with you, because I would love to delve more into how you organize your day and things of that nitty-gritty level type of detail. But today's discussion has been excellent on systems and how to be more strategic and increasing our vocabulary to include the word no and use it more effectively.
It is one of the hardest things that it takes time. Yeah. Especially when you have like good heart and you want to help everybody. Remember this one thing, and this is something that my mentor told me. Like, I had multiple mentors throughout my journey. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars. Invest into yourself. But they said is, when you learn how to say no, if you don't help yourself, you can't help others. You have to help yourself first. A lot of times we want to help every single person around us. Then people say, oh, money doesn't matter. Yeah, it does matter, because the more money you make, the more people you can help. And if you come in with this aspect and you learn how to say, you know what, is this pushing me towards my goals? Is this going to get me to where I'm going to get? Scrolling even through Facebook and spending half an hour a day, is this getting me there? and being consistent, investing your 2 years of your life. And this was something, the last thing that I want to add here too is something when my mentor told me, when he says, most people are not willing to invest 2 years of their life to work their butt off, to sacrifice things, to maybe not even make money, to have the rest of their life. And that was something that stuck with me as an entrepreneur. The work you put in now, as long as you're consistent, it will show up later. And with those systems, with strategies, with all those different things, if you cut back on the things that you do compound, over and over again, then you have more time to be more creative, to work on your business, to do all those different things. That's why I love strategies and systems and automation, is because that gives you the ability to have more time to do the things that you're passionate about instead of doing those needy 3D and stuff. And
Mhm. And time, things that take up all the time. So, Raphael, thank you very much for that. How can people connect with you, follow you, and find you?
well, the main thing is right now my focus is on the Facebook group. So if you go to simpleprovenmethod.com, you're welcome to go in there. Do reply to the 3 questions. Let them know Raphael invited you, or Emily even, if you guys are going through that, just say Raphael and Emily invited me. So that way I know where you guys are coming from. And inside the group, you get to learn all those little tips. I have a lot of different things. We just started this group about 3 weeks ago, but we're going to be growing it to thousands of members. And I have a plan to do different things. I am going to be doing more. It's like a talk show style too. We're working on the branding and everything else. It's going to be called Feed the Beast Talk Show. So basically, it's the same idea as sharing stories, same way as Emily is doing. And Emily, you're doing a great job, like sharing this and getting more people, because you have passion about helping people. A lot of us have passion to help people, but just don't forget that, help yourself first, organize yourself, because those little things that take you 2-3 minutes will add up over a month, over a year, into hours and days and weeks. So when you cut back on those things and you can systemize it, think about this, anything that you're doing over and over, little things that'll take you seconds or minutes, it will add up. Try to find a better way, try to find a system. So you guys are welcome. Simpleprovenmethod.com. It will take you directly to the Facebook group. In regards to finding me, rafaelzvideco.com. That's my website. You can go I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm everywhere. I'm spending more time on Facebook right now too, but best way to find me right now is the Facebook group, which me and Ted is amazing. I think Ted might be coming with Emily as well here too, because Ted's got a lot of knowledge. We're actually teaching not just the systems, but teaching actually about health, lifestyles. He's a sabotage coach. He teaches all kinds of different things that will help you. I love online marketing, but I'm into health as well too. So super excited.
Excellent, Raphael. Well, thank you for all that you've shared. There's so much. And as I always encourage people to go back, they'll may watch this live, but go back and watch the replays as many times, because you'll always pick up some extra pearls and insights that are always layered in. So thank you for sharing this. And I just want to invite everyone, go and follow Raphael, simpleprovenmethod.com. And I also want to invite you, I will be starting my Mastermind Retreat monthly coaching program starting August 26th. And this is just speaking to what we're talking to today, taking that time to pause, to step back from your business, reflect on what's important so that you can grow more sustainably and grow at a pace that's comfortable for you and not feel constantly overwhelmed and anxious about all these issues that you're bombarded with, but realize that you can take a process and, as Raphael was sharing, creating those systems to simplify your life and allow your business to actually grow and thrive. So I invite you to that. If you're not on my newsletter, get your Supercharge weekly newsletter from me at superchargewithemily.com. Just go there and get it. And finally, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done it already, where you can watch all these great Supercharge Sundays plus loads of other things I'll be putting up there. Just write in Emily McHugh Supercharge and you'll find me. And I look forward to having you on there with me as well. So again, thank you, Raphael, for being our first male guest on Supercharge Sunday. You have done a fantastic job. So
Well,
here.
Thank you for having me here again. And like I said, you've done an amazing job, and thank you for sharing and doing all that extra things. And you never know, Emily might have to systemize some of her things as well too. So we might do a secondary call as well to do a little bit more in depth. We can schedule something in.
Sure.
And yeah, I would love to show you guys. There's literally so many tools, even birthday messages. You can have it automated. There's so many things that we do, but at the same time we forget. And if we don't do it, it's like taking a basketball. You take a shot. How many shots can you make? And if it goes in, but if you're not taking any, it's the same thing. Consistency showing up in your business too. So, Emily, thank you so
That's
much.
excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you, Raphael. This has been wonderful. And I wanted to say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you all next time. And in the meantime, everyone, stay supercharged. Woo! Thanks so much, Raphael.